Aye. Any opposed? Yeah, passed 4-0. Next, I need a motion to leave the NFFCD Board of Directors session and enter into the White Mountain Lakes County Recreation Improvement District Board of Directors session.
So moved.
Yeah,
Second.
so moved by Vice Chair, second by Supervisor Peshkai. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? See that pass 4-0. This time we welcome a member here of our White Mountain Board, John. Not John. Yes, it is. I'm lost right now, but I'll find my place. Thank you.
All right. Again, as a
Yeah, sorry, Mark. I said hi to you back there and we talked, but I
I've been called worse, right?
appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to speak before you guys. I appreciate you coming, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Board of Supervisors, to provide an update on what's going on out at the lake, the White Mountain Lakes County Recreation Improvement District. As is our custom, I usually share off the top the holiday counts, the visitor counts for any holidays that have passed. And since I spoke to you last in July, we've had Labor Day weekend. You can see the visitor counts there. Nothing that was too hard to handle for sure. 120, 121. We can go as many as 200 on a given day if they're pacing themselves for the day and not fill up our parking lot. So this is a fairly easy weekend. Everyone had a great time and safe as well. So that's the latest holiday. Wanted to let you guys know we have a meeting coming up next month. A week prior to Thanksgiving. It's Thursday. It's out at Sandbaggers, which is at Silver Creek Golf Club. You are all invited and encouraged to attend. We'd love to see you guys there. All right. We got to talk about water. So since we're a lake district, water levels are a top priority for us. You may recall when I spoke to you last on July 20, we were down 1.5 feet below our zero mark. Zero mark is a line on our boat ramp that represents the lowest the irrigation district is supposed to take the water. We were already below that, and we had taken some measures to adjust how the payments work, you may recall. About 3 days later, on July 22nd, 23rd, we had a flood event, brought the water level up 15 vertical feet in 24 hours. Crazy amount of water, crazy amount of flow into the lake. I believe there was the emergency command center was activated. There's some evacuation orders downstream. So all of a sudden, we went from low water to too much water, over kind of overflowed the lake a little bit. It never went over the dam and never went over the overflow. So that was the good news. And since then, the irrigation district's been utilizing water for agriculture downstream, and the water's worked its way down to below 4.5 feet. We've been in contact with the irrigation district and have learned, this is early October, we've learned that they're done for the agricultural season. So they are not taking water out of the lake. The creek's not really flowing, and there is any water that's coming into the lake is going to fill up the lake, minus evaporation, of course. So we're kind of building up for over the wintertime towards spring, when they're going to open up the floodgate, not a floodgates, that's a bad choice of words, open up the flow for agriculture downstream. All right, so as you know, we have a long list of work tasks that we've been working off of this year. I wanted to share with you some of the things that have got accomplished here in 2021. Off the top, we'll talk about the floats underneath the dock. So the floats are essentially a plastic box, about 2 by 3 by 2. They hold air and they hold up the dock, right? So they're usually in pairs. We had about 3 of these that were in one section that were failing, meaning they're starting to leak and take on water, which means the dock in that section sagged. So we were able to get those ordered and get those installed as well. So in total, we installed 4 different new floats to bring the dock up to the proper status that it needs to be. We talked last time about the parking lot lines, but since we're talking about work tasks completed, I thought I'd toss it up there. We remeasured the parking lot lines and were able to get 4 additional parking spaces, because some of them were just extra large and unnecessarily large. And so we were able to remeasure. We added a wet mooring, spoke about that last time as well. That's an anchorage that's not connected to a dock, right? So there's one of those that's out there. We didn't mention this. We replaced some buoys. We had some cables rust, and of course the buoys float away. And so at that point you lose the weight. So we had to recreate the weights. We did about 8 of these. 5 are in the lake now. So we have some weights ready to go for any future needs as well. So we replaced the cables and the weights this summer as well. Car Circle. So Car Circle is a property that we own as a district that's not connected to the lake. It's in our neighborhood. It's on the interior of the neighborhood. It's a long and skinny kind of property tucked way back in there. There's a playground and there's a cement basketball court. The basketball court has just been the blank cement up until this summer when we were able to paint the basketball court lines, get them some free throw lines and 3-point lines on both ends of the court. So there's some young folks that play out there that are just loving having the lines. They can tell when they shoot a 3-pointer or not. So they're really excited about that as well. That's a nice thing that we could do for that little neighborhood there. Also at Car Circle, there's never been a bench or a picnic table over the years. So we were able to bring a picnic table over, located in the shade, which is important during the summer, right between the basketball court and the playground. So even mothers can sit in the shade while their kids are playing on the playground, or somebody playing basketball can rest as well. So it's a good location. One table seems to be about right as far as the number of visitors that are there, which is quite small. But it's great to have a table, a place to sit. The regular newsletter. Last time I was with you, I brought the first newsletter. Today, when I'm done here, we'll pass out the next 2 newsletters for everybody to take a look at and read. So let's see. We've been. Oh, I guess we'll go ahead and pass this on now then. Yes, there you go. Excellent. So we've been posting regularly on Facebook as a part of our commitment to increase communication with the community. And those have been going well, different events, different whatever status on the lake levels might be, whatever. When the newsletter comes out, that hits the Facebook as well. And of course, it's highlighted on our website. So if anyone's looking for us, either way, they're going to find the information they need. Kayak rentals is something we were talking about. So that's been implemented. When I was here last, we had just got our liability waiver language approved. And so the form was completed. We have 2 single kayaks currently available for rent. Over this winter, we'll purchase probably a double kayak and a paddleboard and see how those sell. We expect that to really pick up in the spring for folks. A lot of folks bring their own kayaks down, but we think there's a demand because people ask us a lot for, hey, can I just rent a kayak? So we have a pricing structure that's based on what's happening out at Fool's Hollow. Just kind of match that, and we'll see how that goes. So we expect to have lots of takers on kayak rentals coming up this spring. They are available now, even in wintertime, off season, just by appointment, and the phone numbers are available there. So anyone can call and make an appointment for the weekend or even a weekday and rent a kayak. We should mention staff shirts. That was mentioned last time as well, but it's on the completed list. Put the blue staff shirts. I'm wearing one today as well, and the feedback has been great. People are excited about being able to see staff. They comment on how readily available staff is because they know where they are. They can tell exactly who's who. Weather station. This is another one called low-hanging fruit. There's been lots of requests for, hey, I want to know what the weather is at the lake. And you think, well, just look out your window, right? You live in the neighborhood. A lot of folks don't actually live in the neighborhood. They're living in Phoenix, they're living in Tucson, and they come up in the summer. So they want to know what the weather's like up there at the lake. And so we have a weather station on the office, and the data is available, live data available there on the website. You can actually click on the link and get to the historical data. You can see how much rain we got the last storm. You can look at the forecast. So folks that want to know weather about the lake, we got that option for you. Vacation rentals placard program. So what we do for access to the lake is we have a placard program. It's 1 placard per property that gets the owner of the property into the lake real quick. We see the placard, you're in, and their guests are in as well. What happens is that when placards are issued to a vacation rental, these are the folks who are, VRBO, Airbnb. They're turning it over every weekend during the week. There's people there for 2 days, 3 days at a time, and it becomes tedious for the owner to keep passing out that placard that keeps getting lost by all these different renters. They have to pay the $25 rental fee. So we have a program where we hold the placard and then pass it out to their guests. So we get to see their guests and give them a little rundown on what the rules are. So this is a good program for us. And we've done this in the past, but it started getting to the point where it was getting more tedious. And so this year we're going to be having a charge of $50 for an annually for that program. And so folks can take advantage of that if they have an Airbnb and not have to worry about that placard. They can just send their guests on down and we'll get them into the lake. There won't be a lot of takers on this. There might be 2, 3, 4. So it's not going to be a huge revenue generator, but it's at least a little something, right? Membership software. So we were talking before about how we have our database essentially is 8 different Excel spreadsheets. Not everybody is comfortable using Excel, and if you click on the wrong thing in the wrong way, you can delete lots of valuable information. So we were able to move to Constant Contact at the professional level and transfer all of our data information and members information to Constant Contact. And now it's a matter of accessing the website where staff can just simply search easily and see who's a member. If you're not a member, are you a member of the irrigation district? All the information is there and readily available. And what Constant Contact does for us even better is it gets us out of Frontier, the email system for our email broadcasts, where Frontier really hindered us. 80 people per distribution list, only so many distributions lists. We were outgrowing all of those restrictions. And so this gives us with one click, I can send an email to everybody. I have smaller lists as well. I can send it to just boat slip renters, right? I send an email to them letting them know, hey, payments due coming up in January, right? That kind of thing. So Constant Contact for us is going to be huge, and it allows us to access our database even that much better. We should mention that we looked at HOA kind of software, thinking where our district is similar to like an HOA, but that software tends to be more expensive than our needs, and has a lot more bells and whistles than really we really need for the cost. So it didn't really merit going that route, because those are built for large HOAs with lots of activities, lots of people voting, lots of members making payments. So Constant Contact is going to be great for us in terms of meeting the needs of our district. We should also mention any work tasks about a lake district we would fail to mention the fact that we kept everybody safe, right? There was no accidents, there was no boating incidents. 911 didn't need to be called, I guess, besides the one guy who put his car in the underwater on a boat ramp in the spring. That was back in the spring, so we had him towed out. But that was fun. But everyone was safe, and safety is job one, right? So on the list of work tasks completed, every day we're working on this task, which is keeping people who are visiting there safe and letting them have a fun time, right? So that is ongoing. That task never ends. All right, ongoing tasks. So there's a few things that were still listed as pending on the list. Just didn't get them done up to this point, but you'll see as we go through them here, they're well on their way. Let's start with reminder signs. So last year in 2020, we put up some reminder signs in the different amenity areas that highlighted the top 3 or 4 different policies or rules that are kind of valid for that particular area, such as don't put your boats into the swim area, right? That sign with that information is located right there in the beach, right? So people who are on the beach can see it. What happens is we talk to everybody who gets a placard. Talk to the property owner, we outline the rules, we describe what's going on. There's not a lot of rules, they're excited. They go home, and somebody else in their family might bring that placard and their guests. We can have somebody at the lake who has never heard the rules from us, particularly, and their guests who haven't heard the rules from them because they never heard it from us, right? So it's important. The reminder signs are a nice way to go with just putting information here in front of you. Here's what we're looking at in this area. Don't swim on the boat dock, kind of thing, right? That information is right there on the boat dock. Well, over this last year, we discovered there's a few more rules, kind of a few more policies that are kind of needed. The sign only held 4 or 5. We got 2 or 3 more. So there's additional signs that are going to go below that on the same pole. We have some additional rules about dogs and picking up after your dog, because that's been an issue. People like to have their dogs out, and dogs like to leave presents, and the folks don't tend to pick it up. So we have baggies for them. We have a disposal method, but having the rule, kind of that sign there with the dog on it will be helpful as well. And even more importantly, we're going to be putting up some 5-mile-an-hour signs that say watch for kids or kids playing as well. So these signs have been, they're received now. They just got them yesterday. So now we'll be putting those in here in the next week or so. So that'll be exciting, because the speed limit signs are important. Not everybody speeds, but it's the occasional person that does. And we're preaching safety. We're trying to keep folks from getting hurt. Kids can cross parking lots at a moment's notice. So it's important to keep the speed down when you're coming through the parking lot. So there's no signs there, and has never been any speed limit signs. So we're excited about that. Curb painting. Additionally, our curbs in the parking lot, we have blue curbs for handicap parking. We have red curbs for a couple places where there's no parking. The curb paint is an exterior really hardy paint, and that's been ordered actually 2 months ago. And due to our country's distribution issues, it's on its way sometime in the next couple of weeks, according to the website. So once the curb paint gets here, we'll be repainting those curbs as well, get them fresh, make them look new, get the stencils back on it that say handicap parking, that kind of thing. So we're excited about freshening those up because they're long past needing to be painted. Gravel on the parking lot. So this is an item that is moving forward. We've determined that we're going to go with a 3/4 basalt. It's a gray, kind of a flat rock that lays down. What we have there now is a kind of a 3/4 river rock. It's kind of squishy, and the car tires leave a little dense, but that'll make a nice base for the basalt. What's happening is it's over the last couple of years, it's been wearing thin, right? So there's starting to be some spots where the drainage pipe is starting to be visible. So we need to bring a couple inches of this basalt in. We've been in touch. Looks like we're going to go with Western materials. They're going to bring the basalt in and spread it out for us, and we'll be able to make our way through that whole parking lot. In total, parking lot is 0.86 of an acre. So that's a lot of parking lot. So we'll probably do it in smaller chunks and get pieces done as we move along. But so that'll be starting here in the next couple of weeks as well. And after that, of course, we'll have to repaint the lines. All right, car circle, we mentioned them again before. We're also looking to put some disc golf baskets. As I mentioned, car circle is a long, skinny kind of property. And the basketball court, the playground are all down at one end. That leaves us the other end to put 2 disc baskets. If you don't know what disc golf is, it's where you throw the Frisbee and it makes it into the chain and makes it in the basket. You count how many throws you take. And it's a fun outdoor sport. A lot of people love it. It's a great way to get you outdoors and have something to do. So what we can do with 2 baskets is we can have one going out and then one coming in, and we'll mow the weeds down in the middle, kind of make, quote, a fairway in both directions. So it'll be fun. Again, those, we were ready to order those, but they're not available. You can't get them due to the distribution issues we're currently expecting. They're 2 months out. So I've been calling, getting to 3rd level kind of suppliers, trying to see if I can find somebody who has them in America where you can just ship it instead of having it come across on a boat. So all those baskets are on the boat. So as soon as we are able to order those, we'll put those in. We hope to have that done before spring. And people really want to be outside. Let's see. The swim cove markers. So what happens is we have a little cove area where people swim, and we kind of have some buoys, 3 singular white buoys that mark off the swim cove. 2 of them are near the shore and then 1 in the middle. And that's great. That kind of lines out where the swim cove is. We don't want boats coming into the swim cove. Unfortunately, it's right next to our no wake zone for the docks, which is also marked by singular white buoys that say, 5 miles an hour or no wake. So a white buoy sometimes means you can pass through slowly and sometimes means don't pass, right? So even though they're marked and no boats, what we're going to do is draw a line between those buoys on the swim cove with aquatic rope, and then smaller buoys that are every 10 or 15 feet. They're just kind of it'll be a visual. Obviously, this is the line. So we've been having issues with people saying after we call them on it, hey, don't put your boat in the swim area. There's swimmers here. Oh, I didn't know. Okay, well, we're going to fix that. You're going to know now. So we have all that purchased. We're just not going to put it in during this season because it's going to freeze. So once the freezing is done, we'll put it in the spring, and we're excited to see that out there. Extra playground bark. Okay, so when the playground went in, the playground that I was just talking about, a car circle, they bought the rubber bark, right? It's a recycled material. That's great. In the end, they had 2 huge baskets, bags actually, standing about as tall as my hand here. And they're stored at a local citizen who has other things stored there. It's kind of a storage kind of lot he has. But it's time to move those off of there, and it's been a couple of years, so weather's probably taking its hit on those bags, and the sun being sun crisp and weatherized. So we don't know how well those bags are actually going to move. We may have to be using a backhoe to kind of pick up the bark itself, kind of roll it in there. But we need to move it to a location that we own. And additionally, it's also time to put some new bark underneath the playground. So the whole point of the extra bark was, hey, when it gets thin, when it wears out, replace it there in the playground. So we're looking to do that as well. And we also noticed that currently there are there's no bark underneath our swings. Our swings are there's just dirt, and there's a kind of a worn spot. So we're going to frame in a space with a border and then put the rest of the bark there. That should use most, if not all, of that extra bark. And of course, whatever's left over will be a much smaller amount, and we can store it there in our maintenance facilities. Let's see. The compost idea is something we're going to pursue over the winter. This is the idea like a forest department might have, where there's somebody who's at the campground who's they don't pay to be there. They get utilities, but then they also have eyes on the facility as well and have some small maintenance tasks like taking garbage bags out to the dumpster, that kind of thing. So that's something we've explored before and never got to the point of crafting the agreement. So we look to do that this winter as well. We look to install a webcam similar to the weather station. Folks want to see the lake from a long distance. They would love to be able to see it. So if we can pick the spot kind of near the office where you can see most of the lake from webcam, it's a simple fix. And on the website, there you can pull the website up and you'll be able to see what the lake's looking like. Is it smooth water? Is it windy? Is it, they can see, is there a lot of boats on the water? That kind of thing. So we're excited about that idea. And of course, the historical page. Basically, we've been collecting over the last couple of years a bunch of history. We've been digging through the files and found a bunch of pieces of history, and we've taken photos of the different historical sites that are in the neighborhood, in the creek bed. There's an old electrical power plant that used to have, and there's remnants of this power plant that are there in the creek, where the creek was diverted up and then dropped down in to turn a generator to run power for Taylor, I believe. So there's a lot of interesting historical facts that could be highlighted there. And so we've been collecting that information. It'd be nice to be able to get that information showing for folks that want to go look and see the history. Let's see. Credit card options. Now that we have our kind of chosen the software, we'll be moving forward with the credit card payment option, getting the swiper. We're looking at Square. Currently, that's a pretty common thing for small businesses. It helps, you can inventory your items. It provides a nice, it'd be a nice upgrade for us, and be able to take credit card payments will help meet the needs of a lot of folks who come walking in, not realizing we only take cash or check. So they want to be able to just put a card down. So that we're looking forward to being able to offer that option here. The voter handout card has to do with, again, getting information into the hands of the people who need that information, who didn't know it. There's a few rules about the lake. You'll go counterclockwise. You don't be swerving. Don't get too close to other boats. These kind of things, especially with jet skis. Be able to hand them a small card, maybe it's laminated, that has the information. Hand it to them as they're coming in. Hey, make sure you guys read all this. Life jackets for everybody, that kind of thing. 12-year-olds and under have to wear the life jacket. These kind of rules are important for folks to know. A lot of folks coming to the lake are guests, and they just don't know what's going on up there as well. We'll continue to work on concessionaire agreements as we move towards next year. We had somebody this last time ready to go for 4th of July, but they couldn't get their trailer finished. And then, of course, with the flooding, that closed the road. It actually knocked out the road. So 90% of our neighborhood couldn't get to us unless they went all the way around an extra half hour. So our visitation over the back half of summer just really dropped. And so it wouldn't have been fair to have a concession there anyway, because there's not that many visitors to make it worth it. In addition, we're going to keep working on recreational instructors. We have somebody who's interested in the spring to do the boot camp on the beach. We're looking to maybe do some agreements with folks who maybe somebody, organization that has grass, let us be able to do a kids' little mini soccer program out there. Matter of fact, we have lots of different ideas. We just need to find some different facilities, because all we really have is water and the beach. And we have the parking lot, and we also have things at Car Circle. So maybe a basketball league as well next summer. Those kind of things. Let's see what else we got. All right, community feedback. We have lots of ways that we hear from the community. Of course, people come into the lake. We get to hear from them. People call in a lot. We get lots of phone calls, people buying property. They want to know information. It seems like our office kind of acts like a visitor center for that neighborhood. They want to know all the different information about building codes, and I direct them back to the county, of course, because I don't have all the building codes. But we get a lot of folks, real estate agents are calling, asking these kind of questions. How do I get access to the lake? How does it work? Those kind of things. So we answer that question probably 3 or 4 times a week, even still in our off season. On the website, we have a contact us feature, so folks can easily just, even almost anonymously, send us a message and we can reply to them that way. Facebook posts, email responses, and of course, public meetings like the one coming up in November. And on the whole, there's just positive feedback of folks are happy to have the lake available. They're happy to see it clean. They're happy to see it well kept. They're excited. We do know that there are a handful of detractors that like to make their voices heard. So we are aware of those as well, and we look for whatever merit their input may have. And of course, we take steps to remedy those things as we can. But on the whole, the people that are coming to the lake visiting the lake on the phone calls. They're excited that the lake exists. They're excited that they can put their boat in and they can go skiing, right? The other lakes in the area can't go skiing. So they're excited to be able to purchase property and have access to the lake. So they're super enthusiastic. And we don't see that necessarily at the public meetings or on the Facebook pages as well. So as I come to a close here, I will mention that the next newsletter will carry what we talked about, Supervisor Whiting, in terms of the effort that you've been working towards with the state legislator. So I'll be sharing that information as well. I'm sure you may want to share that again here. That concludes my report and open for questions.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any comments, questions? Okay. Supervisor Whiting.
Thank you, Chairman. Mark, I want to tell you thank you. Very pleasantly pleased. When we had our last conversation in the last meeting, spring meeting, there was a conversation where the people, it sounded to me like they really wanted to have more communication. They wanted to have a better ability to speak into what they wanted to have happen at the lake. And then ownership from you as far as reporting back on, here's what I heard you say, here's what we've accomplished, and here's what we're still working on with plans to do that. In addition, they wanted to have updates that were occurring frequently throughout it.
Yeah.
From my perspective, and I'm not one that lives out there, but pleasantly pleased on what I heard their concerns were and how you're choosing to respond, you and your team. Multiple ways for them to communicate with you now. And there's multiple ways that you're communicating back, from Facebook to the newsletter to these various different ways. You're also looking at ways to elevate their experience while they're there. There was quite a few different things that you've gone in, you and your team, to accomplish.
Yeah.
So last year, there seemed to be your ability to communicate that wasn't what it just was. Meaning now you're going through a list and saying, here's all the things that we're currently doing out at the lake and how your life's changed and been improved. And you've created ways for them throughout the season to communicate back with you and say, hey, we have this concern or we have that. So first off, just thank you. It looks like what we'd all talked about. And so thank you very much. Hopefully they're just pleasantly pleased, and those things that you're doing sound awesome out there. Really like the direction that you're moving. Sounds much more like the community that we would hope that it would be, and the opportunities are there. What I guess one other question I have, and this is just for my sake, rather than getting into the weeds of it, because I don't necessarily, that's not my role, that's yours. But when they do pop forward with concerns, because you have multiple, whether it's email, phone call, come into the office and do, what's your process to be able to track that and resolve it right now?
So this list that we were working off today is available on the website. Both things that are accomplished in 2020, the 2021 list. There's a future list that, like that table, things that have been tabled. When somebody brings something forward, I'll put it on the list with a description of what we're going to do about it, or a description of, if it's something that we aren't able to do, why we can't do that. Here's the reasons why. Here's the situation that we're finding on the ground. Thanks for the idea. But so those things still hit the list, and the list just keeps growing.
Thank you. And then thank you for giving an opportunity for a placeholder on the newsletter because one of the things they talked about, I've heard numerous times, was last year we actually were able to get a bill dropped that was what the wish of the people out there was, which was they want to have a local board that makes local decisions, that all the board members sit within that taxing district. Totally understand it. We went ahead and worked the process to get a bill dropped, and then that didn't work out. We've since had a lot of activity to get that moving forward again. And the request I heard of me was to report out what was going on and keep them informed. So thank you for being willing to put that in the newsletter, and whatever we can do to help provide you information so that they're aware of what's going on.
I will be sharing that with the community at that November meeting as well. So that'll be a topic of discussion there. So any additional news you can give me besides what we already have, within the next 3 weeks, that'd be great.
Perfect. We can do that for sure. Thank you. Really appreciate you listening and all the work that you've been doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Appreciate the effort that you put forth on moving this further again this year to the state legislators to try to get local control out there for this district. Any other questions or comments?
Just a comment.
Sure.
I too want to express my appreciation. Thank you, Chairman. And Supervisor Whiting, I appreciate your advocacy for the community out there. I think that we've come a very long ways, and the past couple of years and being able to help mitigate some of those concerns. And I think that just putting some, the ability to be able to articulate or show and demonstrate that there's growth goes a long ways, especially for community members to be able to visibly see that. So thank you. I appreciate those efforts.
Yep.
Thank you.
Should mention those newsletters are emailed out to everybody, available on the website, available on the Facebook page. We don't mail them because that's extremely expensive for us to do.
Thank you, Mr. Humberger. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This time I need a motion to move back to regular session.
So moved.
We have a motion by Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Do that unanimous. This time